In the heart-pounding world of freestyle motocross, Jeremy Lusk was a name synonymous with fearlessness and adrenaline. His life was a relentless pursuit of gravity-defying feats and the thunderous roar of engines. But on one fateful day, the skies over Costa Rica became the backdrop for a nightmare that would leave the world of motocross in shock. As he soared through the air attempting one of his famous backflips, something went terribly wrong. Join us as we unravel the story of Jeremy Lusk, a tale of speed, risk, and the haunting realization that sometimes the pursuit of greatness comes at a devastating cost. Jeremy Lusk was born on November 26, 1984 in San Diego, California. From a very young age, just 3 years old, he started riding dirt bikes. And this would not just become a hobby for him, it became a passion that would only grow stronger as he got older. By the time he was 19, Jeremy was already a professional rider, and just 2 years later, he achieved a major milestone, mastering the backflip. He joined the FMX team Metal Militia in 2006, and his skill quickly shone through as he became one of their top riders. That same year marked Jeremy's debut in competitive freestyle motocross at the Do Tour, where he impressively placed fourth, a remarkable achievement for a newcomer. Jeremy stood out as one of the most dedicated riders. While freestyle motocross was often associated with a wild party-heavy lifestyle with tattooed riders arriving at a ramp after a night out, downing an energy drink, and then engaging in daring contests to outdo each other on their motorcycles, the culture was shifting. In the early days, it wasn't far from the truth. Riders out there just winging it, as Metal Militia's founder Brian Deegan described it. But as the sport grew in popularity and competitiveness, riders like Jeremy began adopting a more disciplined approach. They focused on intense training, regular gym sessions, and consistent practice, steering clear of late-night partying, especially before competitions. Jeremy worked out 3 to 4 times a week. He watched his diet closely and tirelessly perfected his tricks in Brian Deegan's backyard foam pit. Jeremy's incredible skills and relentless approach earned him the nickname Pitbull. But despite his fierce reputation on the bike, Jeremy was a warm, friendly, and funny guy, a devoted born-again Christian, and happily married to his high school sweetheart. In 2007, Jeremy made his debut at the X Games. Known for his fearlessness, he often volunteered to be the first to try out new jumps and competitions. He wasn't afraid of anything. During the freestyle semifinals, he ambitiously went for a Hart Attack backflip, a complex trick that was named after its pioneer, Carey Hart. This trick involved extending his legs while holding one hand on the handlebars and the other on the bike's rear, all while upside down. However, the attempt failed miserably when he under-rotated the trick and crashed. Luckily, he stood up and walked away unhurt. He would later share that he did not attempt the trick for months afterward. Admitting to ESPN while preparing for the 2008 Moto X World Championships, Jeremy said, "I was a little scared of it." But despite this setback, Jeremy faced his fears head-on and climbed to the top of his sport during the 2008 season. He won freestyle gold at the X Games and added Best Trick silver medal, successfully performing a groundbreaking double grab Hart Attack backflip for the first time on dirt. Not stopping there, he also scored a bronze helmet in freestyle at the Moto X World Championships, won both freestyle and Best Trick at the September 2008 X Games Mexico, and finished 3rd overall in freestyle on the 2008 Do Tour. Seeing his performance, the magazine Trans World Motocross named Jeremy its 2008 Freestyle Rider of the Year. After this incredible season, Jeremy talked to the magazine about wanting to be remembered in his sport. He said, "You can either be that one guy who wins a medal and is forgotten about in a year, or you can be the guy who becomes an icon in the sport." On his 250-pound bike, Jeremy was able to do just about anything: backflips, tail whips, and incredible tricks while flying through the air, and he was quickly starting to emerge as one of the top freestyle motocross riders in the world. But then, something unexpected happened. On February 7th, 2009, the X Nights motocross competition was held in Costa Rica. Fresh from winning an X Games gold medal the previous year and 2 more in a contest in Mexico, Jeremy was all set to demonstrate his talents once more.
I've just been working hard too. I'm just trying to keep the flow going and try not to crash and hurt myself. I've crashed a couple times, but fortunately I pulled out of it and still rode.
However, as he prepared to climb his 250-pound dirt bike, he sensed something was off. In the stadium's locker room, Jeremy shared with a fellow rider that the ramps felt a little funny. It was windy that day, leading the organizers to set up temporary barriers to block the wind. The competition didn't require any specific stunts, but the allure of its $10,000 prize was enough to push riders to their limits. In freestyle motocross, athletes travel from one event to another, hoping to walk away with a few $1,000s. The more spectacular the stunt, the greater the prize, and the better the chances of attracting sponsors. Jeremy, never one to shy away from a challenge, brushed off his concerns, saying, "It's just like anything else, it takes a couple of times to get it figured out." He then put on his helmet and astronaut-style boots, revved up his engine, and sped onto the field. Given the windy conditions, it was surprising to see Jeremy attempt a Hart Attack backflip. Remember? The trick that caused him to crash in the 2007 Freestyle semifinals? The Hart Attack backflip involved him launching off the ramp, flipping the bike mid-air and extending his legs underneath it before flipping back to sit on the bike for the landing. He had done this trick countless times before, but this specific attempt turned out differently. Jeremy rode onto the ramp and confidently launched into the 100-foot jump. However, in mid-air, dangling underneath the bike, he clearly had trouble getting back on the seat, and some witnesses said the swirling winds within the stadium may have been a factor in this. He over-rotated the bike and slammed headfirst into the dirt on the landing ramp's downslope with such force that his helmet split in two. It was a chilling echo of his 2007 X Games semifinal crash, but this time he did not walk away unharmed. The medical team quickly attended to him as he lay motionless on the ramp. Jeremy was then placed on a stretcher and hurried into an ambulance with one arm dangling off the side. He was taken to Calderon Hospital's intensive care unit, where he underwent a critical 5-hour surgery to reduce brain swelling. Despite the low odds of surviving the surgery, Jeremy made it through. The neurosurgeon who operated on him said, "He is in a medicine-induced coma as a protective measure, and the medicine is being reduced to see how his body responded. However, that doesn't mean he is going to wake up." And sadly, the morning after the accident, Jeremy already showed clear signs of irreversible damage, and the deterioration continued. He was in shock, and that got worse on Monday night until he stopped responding and entered into cardiac and respiratory failure. On February 10th, 2009 at 11:03 p.m., Jeremy died at the age of 24, surrounded by his loving family, wife, and close friends from Metal Militia. The hospital spokesperson later announced that Jeremy had suffered severe brain damage and possibly a spinal cord injury. In a sport in which riders soar dozens of feet through the air while pulling aerial stunts that are scored by judges, gruesome injuries are an accepted part of the game. Yet, several pros in the field believed that Jeremy Lusk was the first professional rider to have tragically died as a result of injuries sustained in an FMX contest, although others have suffered serious injuries in the past. Kyle Loza, a fellow member of the militia team, commented on the risks involved. "Our sport is the riskiest of all action sports, but we know exactly what we're doing. We train and ride every single day. We're not doing anything we shouldn't be doing. We're not out of control. We're not a bunch of freaks. We ain't crazy. We're professional athletes that are really good at what we do." He continued, "You can get hurt doing anything. You can get hurt riding a skateboard or playing football. It's one of those things that happens. When God calls your name, it's time to go home." Others in the sport argued that a death-defying high-stake trick like the Hart Attack backflip has become almost essential for fame in FMX. Riders such as Travis Pastrana, Mike Metzger, and Brian Deegan were already pushing the boundaries, performing double backflips or 360s that often resulted in severe injuries like broken backs and concussions. Even before Jeremy's tragic incident, the sheer difficulty of the Hart Attack backflip was so intimidating that many riders hesitated to attempt it, with some even choosing to leave FMX altogether because the sport was going in a direction they didn't want to go because the level of risk was getting gnarlier. Jeremy's tragic death has raised a series of uncomfortable questions within the freestyle motocross community. There was a growing concern that the design of the courses, at least in some cases, might be a part of the problem. At the Costa Rica competition, some riders complained the ramp wasn't providing enough lift to fully rotate their jumps. Additionally, there were debates about whether the event should have been postponed due to the problematic swirling winds. Major events like the X Games and Dew Tour are known for their meticulous approach to course setup, including careful checks of launch angles, weather conditions, and keeping up with the riders' new tricks, and making sure safety is the top priority. However, the X Nights competition in Costa Rica, where Jeremy's accident occurred, didn't have any affiliation with the X Games. This highlighted the worrying problem that smaller events, particularly those held outside the US, may not always adhere to the same rigorous safety standards, potentially putting riders to greater risks. In the aftermath of the accident, Mike Metzger shared, "I knew Jeremy was very motivated to be on top, and he was one of the more strong-willed human beings I've ever met." Mike, also known as the Godfather for his pioneering role in freestyle motocross, won 5 X Games medals and set a Guinness record in 2006 when he pulled a backflip while launching 125 feet over the fountains at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Yet his journey wasn't without its trials, since he sustained multiple concussions, broken arms and broken legs, and broke his back 5 times. He shared, "You put your life on the line when you ride a motorcycle." And while he acknowledged the freestyle community's grief over Jeremy's death, he believed it wouldn't result in more cautiousness among top riders. "Everybody I know in the freestyle game are strong individuals and freethinkers," Mike shared. "I don't see the loss of a brother stopping them from what they enjoy doing in life." As we reflect on the life and legacy of Jeremy Lusk, we remember not just a phenomenal athlete, but a man whose passion and determination reshaped the world of freestyle motocross. Jeremy, a beloved figure in the FMX community, left an indelible mark on the sport, pushing its boundaries and inspiring a new generation of riders. His breathtaking stunts, culminating in winning 2 gold medals at the X Games, showcased his incredible talent and fearlessness. Yet it was his work ethic, his commitment to perfecting each trick, and his warm, approachable nature that truly set him apart. Jeremy wasn't just an athlete, he was a friend, a mentor, and an inspiration.